Hey there, my name is Rafael Tola and welcome to my channel. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to learn how to code? Well, if the answer to that is yes, then this video is for you. Because in this video, I'm going to show you how to build your very first coding project, a website. Hold up, before you freak out, let me tell you that I've designed this video specifically for absolute beginners. And what that means is that the only thing you need to know how to use is a computer and a browser. Ready? Let me show you what we're going to build. So we're going to be building a prank website so that when you press this button, a bunch of dancing Rick Astleys appear in the background. All right, I hope you're ready to start this journey with me. The first thing we want to do is to find a place where we can write and run our code. And the best place to do that is replit.com. So head on over to Replit and press on the Start Coding button. I already have a Gmail account that I'm going to be using here, so I'm just going to be logging in. But if you don't already have an account, just go through the step. And then you want to press on the Create button. And then we want to use the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript template. And we're just going to write Rickroll here. And then create the project. This is where Replit is taking a couple of seconds to set up a little mini computer for you where you have all the tools you need to build your project. So what do we have going on here? We have three main sections. On the left side, we have a file manager where all of the files are. And you can see three were created as part of this. In the middle, we have our code editor. There's already a bunch of code here that they give you to get started quickly, but we're going to delete all of this and start from scratch. And on the right side, if you press this Run button up here, you can actually see the web page. Okay, so first thing we want to do is just get rid of all of the code here. Select it all and delete. On the left side, let's delete these two files that we're not going to be using, script.js and style.css. Delete, and then we can just hide that file manager. So press on this paper icon to just hide it. So what is it that we should start with here? The first coding language for the web is HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. It was invented a long time ago, and its purpose is to provide content and structure to web pages. What does that mean? Content can be text, images, audio, video, right? So let's start with the simplest type of content, which is text. So just type some content in here. Let's start with never gonna give you up. Let's run that code and see how that looks. So pretty simple. This is our website, very simple website. That's the content part. The structure part is, let's say you're building a web page where it's all about this amazing song by Rick Astley, and you want to make it clear that this is the heading or the title of this web page. This is not really going to cut it because this is just like some regular old text. It doesn't really show you anything. So let's use something called an HTML tag to make it absolutely clear what this web page is about. The way that you make an HTML tag is by using those crocodile symbols. Do you remember from math? And you start with this one and then you put the name of the tag in between and you close it with the other one. So let's do that now. Let's put in H1. That's the tag we're going to start with. And you can see here that Replit is helping us out and is giving us like suggestions for what we can use. I'm going to do H1, close that tag. And here again, Replit is being very helpful because it's closing that tag here. So most tags have a starting tag and an ending tag, and in between is where the content goes. The way that you can see that this is the ending tag is because of this symbol, the slash symbol. So I'm going to copy this content and put it right in between here. Now let's zoom out and run this. And now you can see that it's much bigger text, it's bold. You know exactly that this is the heading of the web page. I'm running into a problem here because this is a very small windows to be seeing my web page. I ideally want to see it in an entirely different tab. So let's press on this button, the open in a new tab button. So we can just open this in an entirely new tab and then we can just see it here.
A few minutes later.
Okay, so we're running into our first problem for this video. Here you can see that it says on my end that this site can't be reached. You might not be having this problem, but for whatever reason, this happens sometimes. So let me show you how you can, if you're experiencing the same problem, how you can fix it. If you go up to the URL here and in between the name for the page or the name for the project and your username, you can replace it with the period with 2 dashes. Press enter and that fixes it. Now we can zoom in here a little bit more. Perfect, looking pretty nice. Okay, what else can we do here with text? There are a bunch of other H tags as well. As you can see, there's H1 all the way down to H6. Let's see how H6 looks like. Never gonna let you down, and then refresh. As you can see, this is much smaller than this one, as you would expect, right? So these two tags are tags that come out of the box that you can use with HTML. Now, another tag that is incredibly popular is the paragraph tag. So I'm going to change these here to P instead. Now, paragraph is really nice because it gives you this regular text look. So you can see immediately that this is just some actual content on the website that is not the title. So I'm going to actually start writing down the lyrics for the song here in this paragraph until I can not remember more. Let me start with Never Gonna Give You Up first. Never gonna give you up, never gonna, never gonna let you down. And then I'm going to put on a new line here, put both of these on new lines. There we go. Never gonna run around and desert you. There we are. Okay, I'm going to put this also on a new line just because it looks nicer, right? This way. And here you can also see that this really makes it clear that all of this content lives inside of the paragraph tag. It doesn't really have anything to do with how the web page looks. It's the same. So let's refresh that. Okay, why did we get this? Why are we getting all of this on the same line? We just put this on 3 separate lines. Very important lesson about the computer, very important thing to know, that a computer is a very stupid kind of machine. It will do exactly what you tell it to do. Nothing more, nothing less. So in this case, you need to tell it specifically that after this line, create a new line, put the second line on that line, and then create a new line once again, put the last line on that line. You have to explicitly tell it that. So the way we can do that is, of course, by using another tag. This one is a special tag. It's a small one, BR, break, and you just close it, and that's it. There's no closing tag, so you don't need to use 2. Let's see if that works. Refresh. Yep, indeed it worked. It just put everything that comes after it on a new line. So let's do that for this one as well. BR. Perfect. Okay. So what else do web pages have? One of the most powerful things about web pages is the ability for us to be able to link them together. You can have one web page and another web page linked together using a hyperlink. So the way that you would add that to your web page, let me do that down here, is by using something called an anchor tag, A for short. So start that, anchor, and then there are 2 things that we need to provide it. First, exactly which web page do you want to send it to when the text is clicked? href equals quotation marks. This is how we say that, right? When clicked, send it to this page. Now, I'm going to just test this out here. So I'm going to just send it to Google, https:// You got to be careful here to provide it with the entire URL, including the HTTPS. www.google.com. Close that. What comes after that? After that, you got to give it the content. So this would be link to Google, for example. And then you end it with the closing tag by /a. And there you go. So let's see if that works. Refresh, link to Google, perfect. It's blue, it's beautiful. It has an underline, so we know that it's a link. Let's press it, and it works. Perfect. What other things can web pages have? Of course, web pages wouldn't be complete without images. So let's see how we can put an image in here, and more specifically, a GIF animation. So I'm gonna go in here, and I'm gonna put in here the IMG, the image tag, and there's one information we need to give it in this case, and that's the source, the exact location of this image on the web. It can be anywhere. So I'm going to go into Giphy.com, find one that I want to use here, Rickroll. There we go. Let's see which one we want to use. Maybe this one. Just press on share and then copy GIF link. It's going to give you the exact location. Go back to your project and then paste it after writing src for source equals and then quotation marks. you'll see a pattern now that for everything inside of these tags, if you want to provide some additional information, you got to do the thing equals quotation marks and then put the information in there. So let's just paste it right in here. That's a lot of text here. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. There we go. And then we want to close this at the end. Let's see if that worked or not. All right, it's looking okay, but we run into the same problem where it's both on the same line. So let's fix that with the break tags. I'm going to put in 2 break tags here, refresh, and perfect. Okay, so that's HTML. Congratulations, you know most of HTML. HTML is just content and structure using a bunch of different kinds of tags. It's really not more complicated than that. But at this point, you might be wondering, okay, this website kind of looks pretty shitty. It looks pretty bad because there's no colors, there's no styling. It's just bland. It's just black and white and just a bunch of information. This is where we need to introduce CSS, or cascading style sheets. CSS is the second coding language in the 3 web technologies trinity, you can call it, that is going to provide us with styling and the ability to add colors and all that kind of stuff. So let's see how we can use that. So let's go back here. Let's say that we want to change this headings color from black to something like red or pink or something like that. Let's go into the code, and up here, the way we do that is go into H1, press space, and then we're going to say, apply some style to it, right? So let's do style again equals quotation marks. And then in here is where we can give it specific instructions on how to change specific things about this text. So the first thing we want to start with there is the color of the text. I'm going to say colon, and then I'm going to choose one of the colors from this drop-down menu here. There's got a bunch of colors here. Let's go with something like maybe crimson. Let's see how that looks. Refresh. And there you go. It's got a nice kind of crimson color here. Perfect. What other things can you do? Can you add more things? Indeed you can. But you got to remember to separate each of these instructions with a semicolon. So now I want to tell it, okay, I'm done with this statement. Semicolon. I want to press space here. I'm going to say, take the text and align it exactly at the center, instead of being on the left side. So let's do text align, colon, again, center. There we go. See how that looks? Refresh, and perfect. It's in the center. Already this web page is looking so much better than just a couple of minutes ago. So let's try to add a couple more of these to the rest of the page. So here I want to go in to style as well. And then maybe I'll do color and then change it to green. And then I'll add also here text align. And you can do either center here, the same way as before, but you can also do text align if you want to. And it's going to take it all the way to the right. I'm going to still put it in the center here. Let's put that in the center. There we go. Now in here, if for some reason you don't like the font size of the paragraph, you can actually change that too. So let's change the font size. And in the world of computers, we don't really deal with centimeters and millimeters and feet and inches and all that. We deal with mostly pixels. So we're going to say that the font size of this should be, let's say, 30 pixels. I think that's going to make it a lot bigger than it is. Yep, there you go. So this is exactly inside of your control. You can make it whatever you want. Let's make it super tiny, 3 pixels. You can't even read it, but there you go. That's possible as well. So I'm going to make it a nice, say, 22 pixels. Perfect. Okay. What else do we want to do? So we can do text and coloring them in different colors, aligning them, but I also want to be able to take the entire page, the whole page, and change something like the background color of it. How do we do that? That's a little bit of a problem, because how do we say, this is all of our code right now, how do we say that take everything and wrap it around some sort of tag and then make the background color of that something other than white? This is where we get to the body tag, which is actually very important, and every web page should have that included. So let's add that. I'm going to start with a starting body tag. There we go. I'm going to close it. Of course, Replit is ending it for us. I'm going to copy this part, delete it from here, and then put it right underneath this one at the very end. Now we got a body. Now, does that change anything? No, that doesn't really change anything because we haven't added any styling or content. But now we got something super powerful, because now we can zoom in here, and in the body tag, we can say style equals quotation marks. We can say something like background color, and then colon, and let's make it, what do we want to make it? Let's see, do we have any interesting colors here? Burley wood, that's interesting. Chocolate, coral, let's try corn silk. Never heard about that color before. And there you have it. Now you have the ability to take the entire body and do something with it. What other things can we do here? What I want to do is put the image here in the center as well. And maybe the link as well I want in the center, because right now it's looking not very good. I want everything in the center. This is where you can take certain tags and put it inside of other tags. The same way we've done with the body tag here. We have the body tag that has all of the code inside of it. Before I continue, I'm going to take everything that is inside of the body, and I'm going to click on the tab key on my keyboard. There we go. When I do that, it takes all of the text and shifts it to the right by 2 spaces. Is that going to change anything as far as the code is concerned and the output? Absolutely not. Is it much easier to read now with that spacing? Absolutely yes. And so this is also an important part of coding, where you also make the code easy to understand for yourself and for other people as well. Okay, so I'm going to take all of this part here from the bottom and put it inside of the paragraph tag right underneath here. Let's see how that looks. I'm going to just go here, press tab once, go here, press tab once again. And then down here, I want to add another 2 break tags. Let's refresh that. Looking much better. Okay, that concludes CSS for now. Let's now get to the finale, the third one, the final destination, JavaScript. JavaScript is actually the only real programming language out of the 3 that we're working with. The reason for that being is HTML and CSS are coding languages. You can't really do anything programmatic with it. You can't, for example, give HTML 2 numbers like 1 and 1 and then ask it to add it together and give you the result. That isn't possible, but it is possible with JavaScript. What we're going to do now is to add a little button to the web page and make it do something using JavaScript. So let's go in here. And then I'm going to actually remove the link that we have and replace it using another tag to add a button. And then I'm going to just give it some text in here so you can show it on the button. Something like, don't press me. That gives us that button. Perfect. Now, does it do anything? Nothing so far, because we haven't told it to do anything. How do we tell it to run some JavaScript? Same way, you can go in here and start writing style. You can actually write on click. And so this is, again, on click equals quotation marks. Inside of here, we can write some JavaScript, and it's going to get executed when this button is pressed, when it's clicked. So let me show you maybe the first and the most annoying piece of JavaScript that you'll ever see. You know those annoying web pages sometimes when you find yourself on, where they're giving you these pop-ups and you got to press OK to close it. That's actually done using JavaScript. Let me show you how. You can use something called alert, which is an inbuilt something called a function in JavaScript, where it will just show you this alert pop-up and it'll show some text inside of it. And the way you can do that is just write alert first and then parentheses like this. Let's actually just run this first and see if it's working. So let's refresh here, and then let's see. That does actually make the alert pop-up come up, but it doesn't have any text yet. Let's go in here and use, this time, single quotes. Why are we using single quotes? Because we're already using double quotes here. So we don't want to confuse it. So we want to just use a different kind of quotes here. inside. Then we can say something like, something happened. Let's see if that works. Refresh. Don't press me. And then something happened. Perfect. So this is JavaScript. This is a very small part of JavaScript. But what's cool about JavaScript is that it is built into every single browser in the world. This is the only programming language that you can run in the browser. And you can use it for so many things. So let me go in here and let's think about the final part of this little project of ours. What did we want to do? We wanted to make something where you have a button, and when you press it, the background changes to a dancing Rick Astley, a lot of them dancing. So in the same way that we changed the color of the body to this corn silk, we need to figure out a way how to change it to a dancing Rick Astley. Okay, that doesn't sound that easy as of right now because we don't really have something to let us do that right now. Let me introduce you to something that's going to be super helpful and powerful for you as a beginning developer especially. In every browser, and definitely in Chrome, there is something called Developer Tools. And you can access that by right-clicking on the page, click, and then pressing on Inspect. Let's do that now. Now that opens up this panel on the right that has a bunch of stuff in it. Now I'm going to click on it and zoom in a little bit. Perfect. Now the first thing you'll see here is the Elements tab. And do you recognize this? This is the exact code that we've written. Make it a little smaller. All this code that we wrote here, that's all displayed in here. And when you hover over certain parts of it, you can see that certain parts of it get highlighted on the left side. So if I were to hover over the P tag, it highlights everything that goes in there. H1, body, and then you can see that there's even some additional code that was forced upon our code. This is something that actually you need to write in HTML, but if you don't, then it'll just add it by itself. What we can do here is if we wanted to change and manipulate the web page through Developer Tools, here's how you can do that. Let's go in here for background color, double click. Now you can see you can edit this, go and change this to, for example, let's say black. Press return and it actually changes the web page. This is kind of insane. It's really powerful because this gives you complete control of being able to manipulate this page any way you wish through Developer Tools. Let's do a couple more things. Color for this, we could change that very easily to something like yellow. Changes that. Center, you can change that to, if you wanted to put it on the left side, there we go. Anything is changeable through here. Now, what we're going to do is to use some JavaScript, write some JavaScript code to manipulate the page when you press the button. So for that, let's go to the console, the second tab on top there. This is a little program here, a little console, where you can write some JavaScript, and when you press return, it gives you back a result. And in some cases, you can also manipulate the page that you have on the left side. So let me show you a couple of things. There is a way you can refer to the entire web page, everything, and that is through an object called document. So let's just write document. As I'm writing, you can see it's trying to help us out here. So this is here, document. And when you press C, everything is highlighted here. So let's press return. Let's open this thing up. What is this? Ah, it's giving me back the code that we wrote. So it's everything in here. So everything is contained within an object that is called document. Okay, let's keep going. What if I wanted to say that I don't want all of document. I don't want the entire document. I want just the body part of it. How do you do that? We just go document, document. I can't type. Hey, there we go. And then dot, and then we can say body. Let's press return. See, we now only get the body part. So you can take entire document and start narrowing down your search. What is it that you want to manipulate? So now we've identified that we want to manipulate document.body. Let's write that again. Document.body. Now, what about the body is it that we want to manipulate? We want to manipulate the style of the body. So let's do dot style. Press enter once again. We got this humongous thing here, which has all of the different things that you can manipulate. So you got background color, which is set to black, but everything else is empty. Background image, origin, repeat, a whole bunch, very long list. Let's go all the way to the bottom now. And what is it that we want to change here? Let's say that we want to change the background color to pink, for example. We would do it this way: document and body style, style. And then we go exactly what do we want to change? Background, do we get it? Background color, there it is. It's showing us right now that it's black. How can we change that? This is where we're going to use the equal sign. We're going to say whatever it is before, forget about it, set it to this new value that comes after here. And we're going to have to use quotation marks here as well. So let's do quotation marks. And then inside here, we're going to say, for example, pink. Let's press return and see what's going on the left side. Return, and there we go. We manipulated the web page using only JavaScript. Let's now copy this code from here. Copy. Go back. Remember this button that we had here on click that was able to execute some JavaScript? Let's take what we have in here, delete it, and then paste in what we just wrote. Now this is a little bit messed up, as you can see, because we're using double quotes for both pink and that. So that's why we want to use single quotes. So let's do single quotes. And then let's do double quotes at the end just to end that whole thing. Now, you can also see that the color now is the same, right? It's this brownish color. That's how you can see that it's correct, because before it was a different color. Then I knew that I messed up something using a wrong symbol or something like that. With that, let's see if that works or not. Let's cross that out for now and then refresh this. There we go. And press and pink. Perfect. We're getting so close to the final thing. Now we got to figure out how do we change it, not to a color, but a background image. Let's open up Developer Tools again to figure that out. Inspect, and then go to the console, and then let's see, document. Okay, document, and then it was body, and then it was a style, wasn't it? Yeah, and then it was background, not color, but is there image? Yes, there is. There's image here. Background image equals. What is it going to be? So in here, this is something that you just need to know, because probably you would think, well, it's just the location here. We just copy this, copy GIF location, and then just paste it in here. Let's try that actually. Does that work? That doesn't do anything because it's not exactly right. And this is something that can be a little bit difficult for a beginner, is like, how do you know exactly what you're supposed to write? You just figure it out over time. Once you get better, you can also search it online on Google to find it exactly out. But since I've done this, I know exactly what it's supposed to be. I'm going to keep going here. You can actually press the up key here to get what you just wrote. So I'm going to do that. There we go. And then inside, right before HTTPS, I'm going to say URL, and I'm going to wrap the entire URL in these brackets. I hope this works. I think this should work. Let's see. Click, and there it is. That works. Let's see how that looks. That's going to give us that infinite Rick Astley's back there singing that perfect song. So at this point, I'm going to just take this code, because it's functioning, and close this and put it in right here. And again, I want to make sure that I replace these with single quotes. Oh, double there, and take that away. Make sure that you get this right, because it can be a little bit annoying. There we are. I think that's good. Let's see if that works. Refresh and press, and it works. Perfect. Let's clean this up a little bit now. And so I'm going to go in here and take away the image from the bottom. And there we are. And don't press me. And you got the Rick Astley's dancing. Perfect. And that is it. We are done with the project. If you're still with me here, then congratulations on finishing your very first coding project. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you have any feedback at all for me, then I would love to hear from you. Please write it in the comments below. And lastly, if there's anyone else you know who would also like to learn how to code, then please share this video with them. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.